Good evening, everybody. I really went in on writing like a top 10 game of the year thing for this year, but I also know that people don't really watch it, and that's fine. I understand that. This year was more just like a therapeutic exercise than anything else. Ended up writing like 5,000 words on these 10 games. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that in writing. Going to put that on the website, joebush.net. You can check it out there. The Games of the Year of 2020 article. For me, it's the script that I wanted to put for this video, but honestly, we're here at the end. Honestly, we're here at the end of December, and I just want to get it over with. I'm not even going to edit out that like hiccup I had there or misspeaking the sentence I just said there. Neither of them. So what I did do is I wrote a whole bunch of little things on ad-libs on this legal pad, about 1 to 2 sentences each, and I'm just going to read them out as quickly as I can. If you want to get more into it, this like weird me spilling my heart out about all these games, it's on the website, read that. But here's me just kind of dictating them, going down 10 to 1, and here we go. Ministry of Broadcast is a dystopic video game during a time when I know a lot of people related very heavily to dystopic media and art in general, and I didn't before this, and I really don't now. I can't say this game resonated with me even a little bit, but it was very funny. And that's enough for me. It was funny. Physically, some of the puzzles were interesting, and the dialogue between the characters and just the kind of ironic situations the character ends up in are fantastic. So that's number 10, Ministry of Broadcast. So number 9, Thrillgate is an Italian point-and-click adventure game. Honestly, I think I might just make a different video about this later on, maybe a couple months from now, because the way that this game affected me it was more significant than I think the game had than I had any right to believe the game would. When I bought it, I was like, I didn't think it was going to mean as much to me as it ended up doing so. This is an Italian guy's interpretation of growing up in the 1980s in Oregon. It is as particular as that would seem. It is as accurate as you might think that would seem. The puzzles are fascinating and very obtuse, accurately as opposed to adventure games of the time. And the art style in particular is the only game. It's inexplicable, but I love it, this art style. It is, the hard thing, the backgrounds that you would normally do with computer generation, they drew those by hand, and the character models were the computer generated parts, which is completely the opposite of what it normally is. It's unbelievable, but it is the only game I've ever seen that looks like that where the characters talk the way that they do. It is the only game like it, and I appreciate it for that. I loved it for that. Thrillgate, number 9 on the list. Okay, so number 8 is Good Job. This is a funny physics puzzle game. Lots of OSHA violations, lots of breakable stuff. Very fun to like slingshot a fax machine into a big window and break it. So yeah, good game. Liked it. Good job. Good job to the developers of Good Job. That's my Gene Shalit thing. Okay, so this game, Pyramida, it's a whole bunch of, so Pyramida is how I pronounce that. It might be, well, I think it would be Pyramida, maybe? I had never even tried pronouncing it like that. This is a game about building up from nothing. This is a game about the beginning, basically, of civilization. And it got me thinking of truly how amazing it is that humanity as a species got to the point where I could download the game Pyramida onto my computer and play it, because the events of Pyramida felt very like real. It was a group of small people trying to build up a civilization, and a couple of days would go by. Oh, I've got a house, and I got somewhere I can make wood, and we can start building stuff up, and then like a particularly vengeful skeleton comes and kills the entire civilization, and then you got to start from the ground up again. It is really awesome that we made it here. Awesome in the biblical sense. I mean, in the it causes awe. And just shout out to the people millions, thousands of years ago however many, I don't know specifically how many. Shout out to, Eve, the whatever the name, the first person they found, whatever. Shout out to the people, the first people. Shout out to all of them. Good job. Thank you. I appreciate you. And everybody since then to get to this point where that ended up being me, great, honestly. Love you for that, and I appreciate you for that. Because it was tough doing that myself. Alright, I have this one memorized because I'm proud of it. Hotshot Racing, number 6. Looks like virtual racing, plays like Daytona USA, tracks like Ridge Racer, interesting cast of characters like any number of games. Diddy Kong Racing, Motor Tune Grand Prix, NASCAR Thunder 2003. Who knows? So Super Mario Bros. 35. During a year when online gaming tried its damnedest to replace social interaction, when it seemed like most online games were about social aspects, were about talking to people, were supposed to kind of replace what was lost due to the coronavirus pandemic, I was glad that Super Mario Bros. 35 was just pretty much straightforwardly on its face a game about being an anonymized little Mario running through this sort of free-for-all. Those games, the Among Us, the Fall Guys, the Phantasmagoria, didn't do it for me. Aren't going to do it for me, and that's okay. I'm fine with that. I'm glad they work for other people, but that's not what video games are to me. That's not what socialization is about to me. And I am happy to have had this game, Super Mario Bros. 35. It's the only real online video game I played this year, honestly, and I liked it a lot for just being straightforwardly a Nintendo online game. Not that different from when I was playing Mario Kart Wii in 2008 and was just playing against faceless nobodies, but knowing that I was playing against faceless nobodies who were really somebodies rather than computer characters was kind of cool. This is kind of like that. So Terra Nui is probably the hardest one for me to describe why this game was good without just going straight into the time that it hit me in early September. But what I can say is that this is a game that kind of flips the resource management sim on its head. This is a game about not being there. It's about taking a planet that has been completely stripped barren of all of its resources and allowing the circumstances for, or creating the circumstances for life to flourish without people there. It's kind of picking up the pieces of what was there and creating something new again. And it's a really cool game. Very slow-paced if you want it to be. It can be fast-paced if you want it to be, I guess, but there's no time limit. Really not a lot of scoring in the game. It's just kind of something where you can play it and feel like something is coming out of it. And yeah, I really appreciate it. In terms of a small independent game, Terra Nui is probably my favorite. It is definitely. It's number 4 on the list. That's the highest independent free game, itch game that I have on this list. And it's really good. So, yeah, there we go. I suck at talking about this game. So number 3, Super Mega Baseball 3 came out in the middle of May. And when COVID hit really bad and everything started to shut down in the early to middle part of March, the thing that was sort of a second order collateral effect of COVID was that everything was shut down, and everything was shut down for the foreseeable future. There was nothing specific going on, just at all, for seemingly the rest of time. At that point, at least. We assumed stuff would come back, be it something as small as, when's the next time I can go patronize the coffee store? The coffee shop, that's the word. The coffee shop. Didn't know when that was going to come back. to stuff as big as when's the next time I'm gonna see my family, when's the next time I'm gonna get to travel to a convention or something along those lines. And a lot of those we don't know for certain yet. You know, I started in September a banking savings account for the 2026 World Cup because I was pretty certain at least 6 years from now that might probably will happen. But we don't know. You know, you never know anything for sure. You never know anything for sure anymore at all. So one of the good things about One of the good things about Super Mega Baseball 3 coming out in the middle of May was that throughout basically the entire month of April, I needed something to look forward to, and this game was that. And I already made a video about it. You can watch that if you want to know what I thought about it, but I thought pretty highly of it. That's why it's number 3 on the list. So the original idea I had for this was I was just going to play like the first verse of the song Love and Anger by Kate Bush off of her album The Sensual World. But I will not do that because I don't want this video to get copyright claimed, and I don't want to get thrown into jail for that. Okay. So the original idea I had was I was just going to do I would have like a CD player and I would just press play on the second track off of Kate Bush's The Sensual World, Love and Anger, because the first verse to that song is kind of how I feel about this game to an extent. I don't know that I could really adequately describe how I feel about Animal Crossing New Horizons. It hit at absolutely the perfect time. It was so important. To me, it kind of stopped being a video game and started being something a little bit more therapeutic. And the effects of that are that now there's a little bit of resentment for that because that was not really therapeutic. What I needed was actual therapeutic help, and I couldn't get that because it was all through a fucking Zoom window. But regardless, I played that game so much, I started to feel things when I would see people criticize the game online that I hadn't felt since my days in like the 7th grade when I would see people call Fallout Boy gay. This game meant so much to me that it awakened these sort of emotions I thought I had stopped having. And to an extent, I'm happy about that. I'm glad it re-unlocked me loving something that intensely. And I really am more full of gratitude for this game than I am full of praise. It is really that affecting to me. And the way I know it was really affecting to me is that I did something that I don't do for a lot of pieces of media. I'll talk about this on the written thing in more detail, but I played this game basically every day from the middle of March to the middle of July. And then one day in July I said, I guess I'm not going to play Animal Crossing today. And I have not touched the game since. And I'm never going to touch the game again because I want to leave that game in that era of time. And I don't know anybody else who does this, but when there's something I love intensely that defines an era of life for me, I let it stay there. If it's that intense of a care, and there are only probably like 7 or 8 pieces of media, of art that have done that for me. And Animal Crossing New Horizons is one. And I appreciate it for that. I love it for that. And it's number 2 on the list, even after I say that. But the next one is a better game. So. So I was, just pretty sure Tony Hawk's Pro Skater was never going to be good again. I didn't think I was ever going to play a good Tony Hawk game again. And this game proved me wrong. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater is the most important franchise to me growing up, and it was, and it still kind of remains that way. I still remain envious of the people who get to say that about, like, Zelda and Final Fantasy, and they get to have all their happy childhood memories be about, like, great fantasy moments and when you killed Ganondorf and all that, and mine is, like, when you had to crooked grind around the baggage claim in the airport in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. It's not quite as cinematic, not quite as romantic, but it's reality for me. Once those games started to be bad, I think the first real bad one was Project 8 in 2006. I still think it's a playable game. Proving ground on, though, it's been ass. So minimum 13, maximum 15. I still think American Wasteland is pretty good. But the past 13 years have not been kind to the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater series, and I was at the point where I was basically ready to give up on it. I was ready to accept, you know what, this game is not going to be good. I heard it was coming out during the summer. I saw, like, oh, there's a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater coming out in September, and I was, like, pretty steadfast, like, I'm not going to buy that game. I will not buy that game. And then I bought the game, and then I pre-ordered it, and I got the demo after I watched Jeff Gerstmann play the demo, and I saw him playing it, and I was like, oh, that looks like the game I like. That looks like the one I remember. That looks like the one I recognize. And then I played it, and I was like, this feels like the game I like. This feels like the game I recognize, like the game that I loved as a kid and still love as an adult. I mean, I played through Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 like probably 10 times. Back in April, because I like that game a lot, because it's a good video game. And Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 is accurately a good video game. After so many just shitty Tony Hawk video games, we finally get one deserving of the franchise. And God, was it good. It was cathartic in a way, because this series that meant so much to me that I would get made fun of for it, I was right. It is good. It's good. I am correct about the fact that it's a good series. Everybody played it, liked it. It's a good game. It's a good video game. It's a great video game. It's #1 in 2020. And I had a whole extra stupid level of significance that's going to be in the written thing. I keep pointing this way. That's because where my computer is. Pointed this way, that's where my microwave is, and it's just not doing much writing on that. But yeah, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. No. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 plus 2, which is 3. That's my game of the year for 2020. And that's where we're going to stop. Again, I keep referencing it, but for extended commentary or whatever, it's joebush.net for my real full end of the year, game of the year analysis. Thank you for watching. I'm ready to move on into 2021, see what 2021 has for me. I'm Joe Bush. Thanks for watching. And yeah, these are all good games. Oh, there's a bunch of like games I didn't play. These are those, and then there are like some honorable mentions. These are those. So, shout out. Have a good New Year's Eve or something, you know.